World War I was the largest and most destructive conflict in human history. It lasted from 1939 to 1945 and involved countries from every continent. The war reshaped the world politically, economically, and socially. One of the main causes of the war was the aftermath of World War I. The Treaty of Versailles placed heavy penalties on Germany, leading to economic hardship and national resentment. This created the conditions for the rise of extremist leaders, including Adolf Hitler. Hitler and his party promised to restore Germany's power and expand its territory. He began rebuilding the military and violating international agreements. Other countries initially tried to avoid conflict through a policy known as appeasement, hoping to prevent another war. In 1939, Germany invaded Poland, triggering a response from Britain and France. This marked the beginning of World War I. Germany used a new form of warfare called Blitzkrieg, or lightning war, which involved fast-moving attacks using tanks, aircraft, and infantry. At first, Germany achieved rapid success, conquering much of Europe. Countries like France fell quickly, and Britain stood alone against the threat. The Battle of Britain became a crucial moment, as the British Royal Air Force successfully defended the country from German air attacks. In 1941, the war expanded further. Germany launched a massive invasion of the Soviet Union, opening the Eastern Front. This became one of the largest and deadliest theaters of the war. The same year, Japan attacked the United States at Pearl Harbor. This led to the United States entering the war, joining the Allies. The conflict now truly became global. The war was fought on multiple fronts in Europe, Africa, and the Pacific. Each region had its own challenges and strategies. In North Africa, Allied forces fought to control key territories. In the Pacific, the United States fought Japan in a series of island battles. One of the turning points in Europe was the Battle of Stalingrad. Soviet forces managed to defeat the German army, marking the beginning of Germany's decline. Another major turning point was the D-Day invasion in 1944, when Allied forces landed in Normandy to liberate Western Europe. World War I also saw the use of advanced and devastating technologies. Tanks, aircraft, submarines, and radar played crucial roles. Strategic bombing targeted cities and industries, causing massive destruction. One of the darkest aspects of the war was the Holocaust. Millions of people, especially Jews, were systematically persecuted and killed by the Nazi regime. This tragedy remains one of the most horrifying examples of human cruelty. In 1945, the war in Europe came to an end as Allied forces advanced into Germany. Hitler died, and Germany surrendered. However, the war in the Pacific continued until the United States dropped atomic bombs on the Japanese cities of Hiroshima and Nagasaki. Shortly after, Japan surrendered, officially ending World War I. The consequences of the war were enormous. Millions of people had died, cities were destroyed, and economies were devastated. However, the war also led to the creation of the United Nations, an organization aimed at preventing future conflicts. One important aspect of the war was the role of intelligence and code-breaking. Both sides tried to intercept and decode enemy messages. The Allies achieved a major advantage by breaking German codes, especially the Enigma cipher. This allowed them to anticipate enemy movements and make better strategic decisions. Resistance movements also played a key role in occupied countries. In places like France, Poland, and Yugoslavia, local fighters organized underground networks. They sabotaged enemy operations, gathered intelligence, and supported Allied forces. The war also saw massive industrial production. Countries like the United States transformed their economies to support the war effort. Factories produced tanks, aircraft, weapons, and supplies on an enormous scale, giving the Allies a significant advantage. Women took on new roles during the war. With many men serving in the military, women worked in factories, transportation, and other essential industries. This contributed to long-term changes in gender roles and employment. The Pacific War had its own unique challenges. Fighting often took place on remote islands, in jungles, and across vast distances. Battles were intense, and both sides suffered heavy losses. Naval power and aircraft carriers became extremely important. Another major development was the use of aircraft carriers instead of traditional battleships. This shift changed naval warfare forever, as air power became the dominant force at sea. Logistics played a crucial role in the outcome of the war. Supplying millions of soldiers across different continents required careful planning. Control of supply lines often determined success or failure in campaigns. Scientific and technological innovation accelerated during the war. Radar improved detection of enemy aircraft and ships. Advances in medicine, such as antibiotics, helped save lives. The development of nuclear weapons was one of the most significant and controversial aspects of the war. The United States led a secret project known as the Manhattan Project, which resulted in the creation of atomic bombs. After the war, many former colonies began to seek independence. European powers were weakened, and nationalist movements grew stronger in Asia and Africa. This led to the process of decolonization. The war also led to war crimes trials, where leaders were held accountable for their actions. These trials established important legal principles about responsibility during war. Another long-term consequence was the beginning of international cooperation on a new level. Countries recognized the need to prevent such a large conflict from happening again. The world was divided into two major powers, the United States and the Soviet Union, leading to the beginning of the Cold War. This new period of tension shaped global politics for decades. World War II changed the world forever. It demonstrated both the dangers of conflict and the importance of international cooperation.